Welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be doing unpopular opinions, and here are some of mine. My first unpopular opinion is that Legacies is actually a good show, and when you actually watch the originals and TVD, you will see like the maturity and the differences. And it is like the originals is more like an adult show, it has more adult themes. Um, TVD is more of like a teenage show. It's like a little adult and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's still like a teenage level of a show. And then Legacies is like a mixture of like teenage, a little adult, and like monsters and stuff. It holds its own because it's like the legacies of like the people in TVD that have their own like legacies, have their own kids and all that stuff, and what they've left behind for the new generation. And the new generation is like has their powers and they're telling their own story, which is very cool to watch. Because when I first started watching Legacy, I didn't really care for it because I thought it was cringy just like everybody else.
Wasn't that
But then
bad,
after I watched it for like the third
was
time, I
actually
realized good. And actually, I came to a point where I would like pretend to be in like Legacy's edits and stuff like that. And I just realized that Hope is literally my favorite character, and it's actually not that bad. And I feel like season 1 is probably the most nostalgic season that they have out there when it comes to legacies, and they could have done so much with the other seasons. I feel like Disney should do more original movies because they could add more diversity to the characters that they have, add more Disney princesses with more diversity, because there's so many cultures that they could like tell and talk about and give an accurate perception on the princesses, and just tell more stories that they could do, especially when it comes down to Asian cultures or black cultures or Caribbean cultures or Hispanic cultures. They could add more stories, be original with it, because that's one of the reasons why I think people fell out with Disney before in the first place. How original they were, when it came down to their stuff, like why people fell in love with movies like Snow White, Brave, Moana, because of how original it was. It wasn't a thing of where like you could look at one story then look at another, like they were the same. It was like each character had their own individuality. Each character and princess, they had something about them that would set themselves apart from the other princesses, and they had their own story. And it was just beautiful, and I just feel like they should do more original movies. And I feel like if they're gonna do it, they should do it with more diversity. Maybe get an African princess, get a Caribbean princess, get an Asian princess, get a Hispanic princess, a Spanish princess. Just something to be more original and set themselves apart, like they used to do back in the day, but they stopped that. And I wonder why. I'm tired. This one is that I actually like original Disney. Not original. I mean, I actually like live action movies from Disney, and I feel like they should do it more, because I feel like it would be cool to see them like different from the anime version. Like, I feel like if I could watch the original version of Little Mermaid, I would, because I feel like it would be so cool to see like the live action Little Mermaid movie and see how they do it and how they create the characters and stuff like that, without them making them too different. Because sometimes when they make the character too different, the people fall out of love with what like they originally fell in love with when they were watching the animated versions. And I'm honestly so excited because I heard that they're making a animated version, no, live action version of the Princess They're From. That would be so cool, because I just feel like the culture of it all is just so different and sets apart from the other movies, and I would love to see that. And honestly, I would totally be down to watch it, and I would definitely be the first one in the movie theaters to support that movie, because Princess Tiana is like my girl, and the representation we're given. However, my problem with Disney is that when it comes down to their female black characters, they always give them some type of stereotype of something. It's like the stereotype of like they're loud, they're ghetto, they're harsh, they're mean, they're sassy, they're like, you know, just in your face, like very aggressive and all that stuff. And I feel like with that stereotype, it's a bad thing because it projects the idea of that, oh, in society and all that stuff. If you're like a black girl, a black woman, you have to be that way. You have to be loud, you have to be aggressive, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to be hood, you have to be urban, you have to be this ghetto chick. And if you don't do that, people are not gonna like you. Because I feel like when it comes down to that stereotype, when you're not that stereotype and when you don't act like that, people look at you weird, people look at you differently. Like for me, I'm a person and where like I am very quiet. I don't talk to people. I don't want to. Just due to the fact of like people suck, and I feel like sometimes when you let people in, they will do the most and the worst to just be awful to you for no reason, and then they'll look at you and be like, "Oh, why are you the way you are?" And it's just like I don't have time for that. I'd rather just be by myself, be quiet in a room, read my book, be on my phone, than mingle with a bunch of people that want to act like bitches. And I don't have time for bitchy behavior. And I kind of just noticed that, like, whenever it comes to Disney characters, they will just give out so many stereotypes of black girls, but it's never let them be volatile or anything. Versus, I was just, oh, angry, this, that, I don't, in your face. Like, I want to see, like, a Disney princess that's, like, you know, soft, and she's feminine, and she's bougie, and she's allowed to be those things. Versus with the other princesses, they are allowed to be, like, soft and feminine, but the black Disney princesses are never allowed to be that way, and I just want them to have that for themselves. I want them to have that type of representation to show them that they don't have to behave a certain way because the media projects or people are going to think that you do that. And even if there are people around that think that you do that, that's like a better sign for you to get away from them because you don't want someone who's just around you so you can make a fool of yourself or because they think you're going to be a stereotype. Just be yourself. If you're soft, you know, and stuff like that, and again, that representation, that's good for you so you can be soft. But if you're not and you're the opposite and whatever, and you get that representation, then act that way. Just be yourself. But I don't want, you know, black girls to be like, oh, I have to be hard or whatever because the society, the movies, the media is putting that out. I want them to be comfortable in their femininity like any other girl or race is. But I feel like the media has this thing and where like they push the struggle and the in a way like their enjoyment or excitement of like black women and girls' pain. Because I feel like that's all you ever see. You don't really see a show or a movie and where it's like a black girl and she's enjoying her life and you know she's enjoying being bougie and soft and you know being taken care of. She's just in her femininity. It's more of them having to go through some type of love, some type of struggle, and some type of foolishness. And it's just sad. This unpopular opinion is that I feel like the music industry is like turning to crap, and in the next few years, they probably won't have the same music industry that we see today. But I feel like it's mostly in rap that we see this because of how rap music has come out to be today and everything. Like I feel like in the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, 60s, they didn't really have this problem because I feel like when it came down to rap, you had to actually have talent, versatility, and your music had to mean something. And now it's like if you have a decent beat, you look good, and you operate yourself in a way that the industry wants you to do, then they'll put you on and you'll become famous. But if you can't carry that versatility that they want you to have and the look that they want you to have, then you can't be the girl in the rap industry. I feel like that's killing it because it's like nobody is really out here trying to like, how do I say this in the nicest way, be a good rapper and be a good artist. The reason why certain rappers have held the industry so good and so well, and it's because their music speaks for itself, you know? And sometimes, if they're lucky enough, they could be able to show off their bodies because they choose to, and still be a good versatile rapper. Like, you can't really come to certain rappers and be like, oh, you look good and that's all you are. You could say to them, she's beautiful and she's a good rapper. She does the other stuff because she chooses to, not because she has to sell sex to sell her music. And that's the problem with the music industry. The rap girlies aren't rapping like they used to. You know, look at all the rappers you had back in the day. You had Bratz, you had Lil Kim, Foxy Brown. Um, you had, I can't remember, but you had those rappers back in the day. And those girls, yes, they were rapping about sex and they had sex appeal, but at least when they were rapping and they were rapping well, they were rapping good, they were rapping to rap. They weren't rapping because of like, I don't want to explain. They weren't rapping just to like, they weren't rapping just, they were rapping for a purpose in a way, They were like the rappers that you look back to, and you call them like the old school rappers. These girls nowadays, that when they rap, they just rap to take their clothes off. They don't rap to rap. Like, if you know what I mean. My next unpopular opinion is Nicki Minaj is washed up and she's fallen off. I hate to say this because I love Nicki Minaj. I've listened to her since I was little. I grew up with her music. I used to bop to her music. But now, like, since she's gotten older and all that stuff, and she's putting out her new music just does not hit like her old music does. When you're little, you would listen to her music, and you get a certain way, you get a certain feeling. You're kind of like, how do you say it? You want to be like, oh, I'm gonna buy Nicki's music and da da da. I'm support her. I love her music. I want to bop to this. I want to bop to this. Oh, this song is telling a story and all that stuff. The lyrics are poetic. Now it's kind of like it's the same thing being rapped over and over again. There's no spark. There's no nostalgia. There's no nothing for her new music nowadays. It's like it's just gotten so old, and I just feel like her time is up. You know, that's my yeah. And now my other popular opinion. I don't like Cardi B's music at all. Like when I was younger, I used to like listen to a lot when I was like in the 5th grade. But now that I've gotten older and I'm like going to 11th grade, I'm kind of like I don't like Cardi's music either. I might listen to a song or two, but she's just not my favorite rapper. Then this one, pineapple pizza is good. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how people be like, oh, pineapple pizza is nasty. Fruit doesn't want a pizza. I absolutely love pineapple pizza. I love Hawaiian pizza. It's so good to me. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care how many times people be like, oh, pineapple pizza is nasty. It's disgusting. It's degenerate. It doesn't belong there. It's good, and y'all can fight me about it. I absolutely love pineapple pizza. Another one is Hoser deserves more credit than he gets. I remember hearing that song when I was like in I was in elementary school. It was about in 3rd grade when that song came out, and I was just moved by it. I'm still moved by the song today. Every time I hear that song, it just takes me somewhere. It's like nostalgic. It's beautiful, and he just has this voice that you hear it, you just can't stop. You just have to sit there and hear his voice because it's just so beautiful. His voice is just so moving, and it's like he was just born with this beautiful angelic voice. And I just feel like he deserved to be more top where he was. I feel like he should have did like I feel like he should have developed a certain formula for his music, and I feel like then he would have been better off and he would have gotten more famous. But he's definitely one of the most underrated singers, and sadly, his career flopped. But Take Me to Church is probably one of the best songs that he has, and I definitely agree with this. He's definitely one of the most underrated singers. It shouldn't be like that, but at least we have Take Me to Church. is just such a beautiful voice and such a beautiful song. And I kind of wish someone would do a video on like why he is so underrated. Like, is he underrated because he did something? Is he underrated because he flopped? Like, what is it? Because his music is amazing. I do want to apologize for some parts of the audio in this video because I was trying to fix it and match up some other parts of the audio, and for some reason they weren't matching, and when I checked, the audio was not playing. So it's technical difficulties. I'm so sorry. But thank you so much for being patient and subscribing.